Celtic's Cup to lose, given what's left in the competition? How much work do they have to do to, let's be honest with you, get the treble this year?
Well, still got. This is the tie of the round. You know, they're playing against, the form team in the country alongside themselves. So yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, and the fact that Rangers aren't in the competition now means that all the other clubs will be looking at an opportunity to get to the final, and obviously they'll want to see Celtic out of it because they've been so dominant. But yeah, I mean it's mouth-watering tie. You know, it's something that obviously I'm sure David would want to avoid. Celtic at home is the ultimate test for any Scottish team.
Both managers this season very impressive. Brendan obviously domestically and in Europe. David Gray as well, a man you know very well. Has he surprised you by just how good it's been in the last 4 or 5 months for him, given from where they were at the start of the season?
Yeah, he surprised me. Yeah, ultimately the start wasn't great, but he kept the same mantra the whole way through. He kept believing in the players, saying, "Look, we'll get it right," and he was quite calm, although he was under a huge amount of pressure. So he'll have learned a lot about himself going through that difficult period. They've come out the other side of it fantastically well, and he has. And the team's looking good. I mean, they've had an unbelievable week. You know, beating Celtic, beating Dundee United, winning the derby. So he's ticking a lot of boxes really well that you have to do as a Hibs coach, in terms of derby wins, beating the Old Firm. Can you finish top 4? He's well on his way to doing that this season, and the place is buzzing. It reminds me of my time there back in 2018. The scenes I've seen, against Celtic, and then yesterday, he's got the crowd really with him, and the team are responding. They're well organised. The fitness levels are excellent. I thought they really forced the issue yesterday, second half, and there's a real belief about them.
How much do you think that win against Celtic last week will give them the belief that they can go to Celtic Park this weekend and win? Because although the last time they were there, they lost 3-0, I think it was. They actually played really well, made a lot of chances in that game.
Yeah, you got to take the chances though. But it's good that they're creating the chances. Sitting on Saturday night created a lot of good chances as well. But Celtic are dynamite. The last half hour on Saturday was some of the best football I've seen from them this season. I thought they were magnificent going forward. But Celtic at home, they're imperious, and it's going to be, a tough ask at any stage of the season. But with the feel-good factor around Hibs at the minute, there has to be a quiet confidence that they can compete. But you've got to take your chances. He's got Boyle playing really well at the minute, and that's really important. He's, for me, the best player when he's fit and firing. I think Cadden's been a revelation on the left-hand side as well. And I watched them against Celtic. I was at the game, and I thought they were really impressive in their organisation. And they played the game perfectly, as good as you could against Celtic.
When you're talking about Celtic being dynamite at the moment, how big a gap do you think it is between them and Rangers just now?
It's a chasm, and I couldn't believe the result from Ibrox on Saturday, because I thought with Barry going in there, when he made the change against Kilmarnock, it was a positive one. It was brave, and they got the result and the performance. And you're thinking, well, maybe there's a bit of momentum there, but they go the other way. So there's a huge fragility there in the squad. And whoever takes over, whether it be Barry or somebody else, everyone talks about a rebuild. For me, it's a change of culture and psychology, really, more than anything else. I think they've got some good players there, but obviously the psychology of the team isn't right.
What do you mean a change of culture? Can you expand on that?
Well, they do well when they're not expected to do well, and then when they are expected to, win games, they can't do it. So that needs to change. And I think they have to get things right domestically first and foremost before they think about anything else. They need to be far more consistent in the league, far more consistent in the cup competitions. Because if they go out to Fenerbahce in the Europa League, the season's done. We're only in March.
Neil, talking about that change of culture, is that possible with the current personnel, or does it have to be new bodies that come in to change that mentality?
I think you got to work with what you've got. you can't just have a clean sweep. Everyone talks about rebuild and the new manager coming in and clean sweep. Been hearing this for the last 3 or 4 years. I'm not privy to what goes on inside the dressing room or the training ground, but they've got to be far more consistent in their results and performances. Whether the grind out results, I don't know if they can do that, but we've all had to do that over the years, and winning breeds confidence. It breeds a better mentality, and again, you're waiting on the switch being flipped after Kilmarnock. You're thinking, right, well, at least domestically they'll be able to put their foot down a little bit, but to lose against Motherwell in the manner that they did as well, it's pretty uninspiring, really.
Barry Ferguson mentioned on Saturday there's also a problem with them playing at home. That's 3 home defeats.
Well, there wasn't before, because the home record was excellent. But the Queen's Park games obviously rocked them in some way, shape or form. And you have to get over that. It can happen once in a blue moon, a result like that, but you have to bounce back from it immediately, and they haven't done that. So they've lost now to St Mirren, they've lost now to Motherwell. Playing for a club like Celtic and Rangers, that we all know about the demands and the expectation. You have to handle that. It's not just one or two, it's the whole group. Somebody has to carry the team. It might not always be a Tavernier, might not always be a Raskin, but there has to be 3 or 4 that will get them over the line, and they're not doing that at the minute.
Is that almost more as important when you're kind of building a team with Celtic Rangers, that you have players that can handle those expectations?
Yeah, you don't know until they're in the building. I've seen players with big reputations come to Glasgow and struggle. I've seen players who I thought might struggle actually thrive in the environment. So you can say you do your homework, but the culture at Celtic and the culture at Rangers is miles apart. Like, you know what I mean? And there has to be a change for me in the psychology of the dressing room rather than a complete rebuild, because I don't think that'll work either.
Brendan's obviously got a track record over the years of improving players. You look even recently like Matt O'Reilly, the goals he was scoring in that season under Brendan, Maeda, what he's doing at the moment. Do you think Yang can maybe fall into that category, just what he's been doing over the last few weeks? Can you see a progression for him into maybe being an important player for Celtic in the future?
Well, he's certainly the last sort of 5-6 weeks really upped his game and had a huge impact on games, whether it be against Munich. I thought the home game against Munich, he was really bright and really effective. I thought his performance on Saturday evening was fantastic. And it all comes with confidence, playing with good players, playing in a good team. You're right about Maeda. His transformation in the last year has been remarkable as well. So, I think Yang could, grasp the metal and kick on. It's really helps when you're playing with good players, though. And, Celtic have stock full of them.
Did you see that coming with Maeda in terms of just how good he is at the moment and the levels he's hit? There was maybe question marks over his technical ability. Obviously, no.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His running, but do you feel he's maybe hit a level that people thought he maybe couldn't at one point?
Possibly, but that's down to the player. He's worked on his game and maybe with the coaches behind the scenes. His finishing's so much better. His touch is. You're talking about his technique. We talk about soft feet. His feet are getting better. If you look at his goal the other night, his first touch to take it away from Fraser, and then the finish was exemplary. He wasn't doing that a year or 2 ago. He was playing at 100 mile an hour. He's always had brilliant movement and he's always had brilliant work rate, but now his all-round game is at a very, very high level.
Do you think he's been the most improved player under Brendan Rodgers, or would you put that to maybe perhaps Alistair Johnson as well?
I think he's another fantastic player, Johnson. But O'Reilly, under Brendan last year flourished. I think Maeda's doing it this year. I think Coon's improved a hell of a lot from what was off the back of last season as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to sort of make comparisons. They all have their own sort of contributions to the team in big, big ways. And then you forget about the consistent ones, your McGregors, your Vickers, your Schmeichels, all these players who you can't accept. You can't sort of take it for granted what these players do week in, week out.
Do you think those players maybe go under the radar because those other players are improving so
Yes.
much and showing it?
Yeah, but I'm sure not in Brendan's world, and certainly not in mine. These players play at a level of consistency that's fantastic, week in, week out.
Brown said after the Bayern Munich match, you know, like, to perhaps try and go to the next level in Europe, but his bench needs to be almost like for like. Can you see, should Celtic be kind of really pushing it out now, going next season to get that bench as strong as possible?
Why not?
Yeah.
You know, why not? They might lose a player or two as well. You know, I'm sure there'll be plenty of suitors, and that's been the model, you know, over the years to sell a player. But yeah, it'd be great to see them get that bench. It wouldn't be great for the rest of Scottish football, mind you, but certainly for the club and Brendan's aspirations, to have that strength and depth would be. And if they've got the ability to do that as well, that's another thing. You know, if they've got the finances to do that, then why not? In terms of the squad depth this season, it's as strong as I've seen it for a long, long time, and certainly way above anything else in Scottish football. You look at the subs he brought on, you know, after an hour on Saturday evening, you know, the quality and the speed and just the zest they brought to the team was fantastic to watch.
Do you think Callum not playing international football will help him, because he does play so many games?
Oh yeah, no question. He might miss it, you know. There might come a time when, you know, he was such again a huge player for Scotland, not only Celtic. He might miss it, but you know, it's a personal decision that he's made, and you know, we all understand it. And yeah, it'll benefit Celtic, that's for sure. But he might, you know, if they go to another tournament, he might think, God,
World Cup.
yeah, you know. But he's made his decision. I think he's quite comfortable with it.
Can I actually predict the 4 semi-finals? Nice
Cheers,
easy one.
Bray.
Nice easy one to finish with.
No,
Let's start with Dundee Hearts. Or Hearts Dundee on Friday.
well, Hearts will be sore after yesterday, you know, and you know the psychological fallout from losing a derby can linger. Dundee aren't in great form either, so it's a tough one to call.
Don't
I think-
sit on the fence, Neil.
I know, but have you asked anybody else this?
No,
All right, well,
but I'm asking you though.
it's a hard one. You know, I don't want to fall out with anybody.
Right, okay then. Aberdeen, Queen's Park.
Well, Aberdeen would be clear favourites, but I mean, Callum's got, you know, a bit of history with the cup, and obviously an unbelievable result against Rangers. Aberdeen's form's been very up and down lately, flaky. You know, I know they scored late on yesterday, but you know, I think they would have wanted to win that one yesterday. Probably Aberdeen.
And the other 2 games, first of all,
Livy St Johnson's hard to call.
I know.
Really tough to call. Because Davy can, you know, they can beat anyone on that pitch on any given day. St Johnson have got some decent results lately under Simo, and they play a nice brand of football, but again, it's such a tough one to call, you know. And I think Celtic will beat Hibs.
That's the only clear one you've given them.
No, I think Aberdeen, you
You
know,
think Aberdeen?
I think on their day, if Aberdeen turn up, like I said, these clubs will see Rangers being out of it and think there's an opportunity to get their final, so, you know, they should be all tuned in now. The other 2 games are so close to call, I think, in terms of where all the clubs are at the minute.
Just briefly, could I get your reaction on Old Firm fans being back in at
Great.
away games?
Just I hope there's more. I want it back to the way it was when I was a player, you know, so yeah, it's hopefully a step in the right direction, and you know, hopefully it goes well without any issues, and we can think about bringing more fans in, more away fans in, because it's a huge miss to the game.
Neil asked Stephen if he was keen to get back into management. How about yourself?
Yeah. So yeah, I've had a few offers, a few chats, but nothing really sort of that suited me at the time. But yeah, I'm actively looking to get back in. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.